Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome back to another episode of How to Build. This is a series where I teach you guys how to make some of my created characters in For Honor so that you can make them too. And today we got a very special treat for you guys. It's only going to be 2 characters, but I think you'll like them. So, how many of you guys remember this video that I made? How to build the Order of the Silver Cross. Now, if you guys do not remember what that is about, it works something like this. I really liked the Halloween events about the Fangs of the Otherworld event, where it implied that there was this alternate universe where monsters and demons were pouring through and Heathmore had to deal with them. I always liked that Halloween event, and I hope they bring it back. But my thought was that after all that happened, you know, maybe there were still some monsters roaming around Heathmore with the Jorogumo event. Maybe there were still some yokai. Maybe there are supernatural elements in Heathmore, and how would Heathmore deal with them? So I thought it'd be kind of fun to create this fictitious Order of the Silver Cross, an order created with the sole purpose of hunting down and exterminating the monsters that inhabit Heathmore. And several of the members of the order are actually monsters themselves who appreciate human society and want to live in it. We created a lot of really cool characters there. And I thought, you know, it's a fun idea. Not sure if I'll do anything with it. Not sure if I'll make a whole story around it, but I thought it was a cool idea. Well, as I've been making more characters, I ended up making 2 more characters that I'd like to add to the Order of the Silver Cross. So consider this kind of an extension of my idea, and I'm going to introduce both characters to you today. Now, you've already seen one of the characters because I mentioned her in my Tiandi video. The other one you have not seen yet, and you will finally get to see her today. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump into the one you already know. Meet Marinu. Marinu. Now, Marinu actually means mermaid, believe it or not. That actually means mermaid, and that is what she is. I was basing her off of the idea of Chinese mermaids or merfolk, and there are 2 reasons I wanted to do this. For one, because my buddy Aaron, who is a good friend of mine, has a big thing for mermaids. He really likes mermaids, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to make a mermaid that I thought that he would like. And the other, I really like the kind of aqua theme I could do with this character. So we're going to explore how to make her, and follow along with me. This is going to be kind of fun. So, to build Marinu, you need Guansuo helm, Guansuo chest, and Guansuo arms. However, one thing I will say about the Guansuo set, you can change it out for the Lin Chong helm to give it kind of that fish feel. That would be just fine. You can do the Lin Chong helm if you wanted to do that. Or, there's one more, if I can find it. You could do the Li Yu helm because that connects with aqua as well. So I thought that would be very fine as well. Also for the arms, if you do not have the Guansuo arms, you can trade those out. Scroll down here for the Jianhuren arms because it's got 2 fish on the shoulders, which is also very fitting. So either one would work. You can go with whatever one of those 2 sets you want, but I went with the Guansuo set, okay? For the weapon, you want the Yulong blade, the Yulong hilt, and the Yulong ribbon because it looks like fish, and I thought that would be a good connection. I like the fish scale kind of pattern on the sword more than anything. I think that fits really, really well. So, now, I wanted to show you how to build her before I explained her backstory because I wanted to kind of build up to that. So, what I was thinking when I was first designing Marinu was this idea that, almost like The Little Mermaid, if you've watched the Disney movie or read the Hans Christian Andersen book, the idea that I had with her is, you know, at first she was this mermaid, you know, hung out in the river that runs through Heathmore, you know, and she's always been kind of fascinated by the world above, like what's going on up there. She kind of wants to experience it for herself. So she grows legs and decides that she's going to walk among humanity because that's something that she can do, you know, mermaid magic and all that kind of stuff. But as she walks among humanity, she sees how horrifying it is, how terrifying it is. This is a scary, scary world where everyone's at war, everyone's fighting each other. There's a lot of problems. It's not as beautiful as she thought it would be. So she's having to weigh, do I really want to stay up here where everything's scary and frightful and awful, or do I want to return to my home under the sea? But then she has this realization. She realizes, you know, sometimes when things are rough, you shouldn't run away from it. If you want the world to be better, you got to step up and try to make it a better place yourself. You can't wait on the world to change. You need to be the change in the world. So she decides, you know what, rather than run away from the world and dream that she always had where she could walk among humans and actually live a meaningful life on land, she's going to fight for that chance to live a meaningful life on land. So she's not exactly out for a higher purpose. Like, I'm not doing this in the name of a country or in the name of a people or in the name of a religion or in the name of anything. She's doing it because I want to live among humanity and I'd like to create a world worth living in. And so it's a very simple, almost selfish kind of thing that she wants, but it does go in line with who she is and what she was fighting for in the first place. So I hope that gives you kind of an idea of who she is. And I really like kind of designing her look and designing her background because, hey, mermaids are cool. So thought I'd do that. So now let's finish talking about how to build her. I thought that I'd build up a little bit to that. So her traits, alternative 2, because it's a chick. We went with the default skin color, but I suppose you could go pale as well. I don't think it'll matter. Chest and back, no paint pattern, no symbol, but I went with the Sharp Tangles 5 embossing. The Sharp Tangles 5 embossing because it looks like waves on top of each other. You're going to notice a lot of wave themes here. For the ornament, there is no ornament. For the right shoulder, I went with Waves of Torment 3, which you get from the Marine Tie Battle outfit. No symbol, but the Sharp Tangles 5 embossing, which you get at Reputation 19 level 20. I forgot to mention that. For the left shoulder, Waves of Torment 3, no symbol, Sharp Tangles 5, embossing again. So exactly what we had last time, pretty much. For the material, you probably guessed it, but cobalt. You want cobalt for the material, okay? Get that. For the standards, you want the Heavenly Mirage 3 paint pattern. Now, the reason I went with that is because, you know, it kind of emphasizes there's kind of a darkness. Mermaids are not all just the pretty, helpless guppies that need help. They have a bit of power of their own, and that and I also like with the cobalt, with the color scheme that I went with, it looks like there's something beneath the waves, something beneath the water that I thought that I'd go with, so I thought that was very fun to try. And then for symbol, you want Together, which you get at Reputation 15, level 8. No embossing. Pretty simple. For the legs, I went with the Abyssal Scourge 3 paint pattern, which you get from the current battle pass, so get that. And no symbol and no embossing, so pretty stinking simple to go with. Now, for the color scheme, I went with Patrol, which you get at Reputation 13, level 14. Patrol is a very good color scheme for this. Gives us that oceanic feel, very much an ocean lover. You know, you got to go with that. Okay, now, for the feats, I went with Tireless, Marked for Death, Vital Leech, and Indomitable. Went with Tireless because she is used to extreme conditions. She's been wandering around on human land for a long time, so she's not going to get worn out very easily. Marked for Death, she is determined, and I thought that would be a good one to emphasize that. Vital Leech, she can life leech when health is low. I kind of decided to go with, I know that it's a basic one for Tiandi, but I kind of went with that one because, you know, mermaids are known to, like, you know, suck the life out of sailors or people, like the whole siren thing. I thought that I'd pay a nod to the siren thing. And Indomitable, I honestly picked that one just because, again, she's this character who's very tenacious, very hard set on her goals and her determination, so I thought Indomitable would be a good one to give her. Now for executions, I gave her Relentless Cyclone, Unquenchable Wolf, Water Summoner, and Spiral Ending. So I went with all these because Water Summoner ties into her mermaid magic. Relentless Cyclone I thought is a fast and flowing kind of execution that she'd probably be good with. Spiral Ending is even faster and again goes with that flowing movement. And Unquenchable Wolf, my idea is that as a mermaid being out of the water, she's constantly thirsty, so she probably needs a drink every now and then. So I thought that would work. Emotes, I gave her Twila and Geyser Summoner. Again, tying back to that mermaid magic. Combat, I went with Suishi and Sword Spin. All very flowing, all very cool to look at. For signature, I went with Allegiance to the Empire because she's trying to create a home for herself. And you know what? If she's going to do that with the Empire of the Wulen, that's what she's going to do. And then finally for effects, you probably guessed it, but Whirlpool's Grasp is what you want for pretty much everything except for the emotes. I didn't give her anything for the emotes, just the idol and the executions. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you make Marinu. And it's a good thing that I made her now. I actually had an idea for kind of a Mermaid Tiandi or a character for a while, but didn't really have a chance to do it because I didn't have all the effects and styles I wanted. But now with this new season focused on pirates and the abyss and stuff like that, finally had everything I needed to start making that. So very excited to finish this up and finish her up. So thought that you guys would like it. Let me know in the comment section if you like Marinu and if you'll be making her yourself. I'm very glad to finally get to share her design with you. But now we're going to move on to the second character. This one may surprise you. Meet my new shaman. This is Taliyah Oakleaf. Taliyah Oakleaf. Now, she is a druid. Yes, you can think like a D&D style druid if you want to. That was kind of part of the inspiration. So this is Taliyah Oakleaf. I had a lot of fun designing this character. So what is Taliyah's story? Believe it or not, I'm still working out the finer details about her story. There's still some things that I'm working out myself to make sure that I get it all right. But my current concept for her story is that Talia is this girl who has grown up around nature, grown up kind of in the wild. She wasn't born and raised in the wilds like what Nibbles was, but she has always grown up around the wilds and the forests and the trees. She's always felt closer to nature than she has with civilization, so she feels a close connection to it. And all the armies and warriors who pass through her lands have kind of stirred up and upset the natural balance of nature, and her goal is to protect it. And what she's realized is that because nature is upset, there are a lot of creatures and dark spirits and entities that are rising up in nature that are lashing out angrily. Now, here's the thing. Even though she believes that nature needs to be protected, she also knows that nature can't overrule or destroy civilization in its quest to get revenge. So she's trying to keep the balance, and she thinks that by siding with the Order of the Silver Cross, she can help keep that balance. She's not uneducated. She's not completely unarticulated. She's got a wildness to her. She's got a wild passion to her, but she's not like Nibbles, who is more primitive and primal than anything else. She can be intelligent, but she just feels at home among the trees, at home in nature, which is why she's a druid and can do all the things druids can do. And of course, you're probably going to ask the question, wait, in D&D, druids can turn into animals and do like magic spells. Can she do that? And my answer to that is maybe. Like I said, I'm still kind of working her out a little bit. Maybe she can turn into an animal. That'd be kind of sick. That'd be kind of cool that she could do that. But anyway, let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about how you build her. So actually, here's how you build her. So you need the watch bar helm. This is one of my favorite shaman helms before she got these. Before she got these helms, this was one of my favorite shaman helms. So you need the watch bar helm, the Dothadgar chest, and the Vigor arms. Let's go through that again. The watch bar chest, Dothadgar chest, and Vigor arms. So that's what you want for the armor. For the weapon, I went with Mirkwood hatchet blade, far-seeing handles, and Akafroa dagger blade. I like. Oh, can we go back to that? Sorry. I like this set because it looks very clean and very nice while also still looking rustic to a certain degree. I know that sounds weird, but if you look at it, it looks old-fashioned. It doesn't look like one of these more fancy, ornate weapon sets, which I don't think she'd lean on. I think that as a druid, she'd lean more on a more old, rustic, very nice-looking hatchet and dagger, but not necessarily ones that look too ornate or too fancy. So I think that's why I wanted to go that. So that is how you build the armor and weapon for Talia. No. Okay, so for traits. Body type, default 1. Now, I went with the second from lightest, so just above default, because she spent a lot of time out in the wilderness. She's going to get a bit of a tan. She's going to get a bit of a tanness to her pigment. So I thought that would work very well for her. But if you wanted to go default, you could totally do that too. I don't think that's a problem. For the back, you want the Fabled Fire Queen 3 paint pattern, which you get from the Year 6 Season 1 Battle Pass. No symbol, but you want the Runic Compass embossing, which you get from Reputation 24 level 20. Yes, you do need to be at Reputation 24 level 20 to get this embossing. If you can't get it, don't worry, the Celtic Weave works too, which you get at Reputation 8 level 20. So you can use that instead, but I like the Runic Compass. Okay? For the ornament, you want the Hammered Home ornament, which you get from the Farewell Banquet mask outfit. That's what you want. You want the Hammered Home ornament. Now, if you don't want to spend money on that, I understand. You can substitute it with either the Gorer, which is just this one spike in the middle of her forehead, Or you can go with Enlightened, which shows 2 antlers, which I think any of those would work fine. You could also go with Forbidden Knowledge, but you get that from another mythic outfit. Or you can go with Deceitful Dragon, which you get from the Tree of Life Elite outfit. All of those would be fine, but I personally like the Hammered Home ornament for her because it looks like a druidic crown, and I thought that would be good. All right, now for the right shoulder, no paint pattern, no symbol, no embossing. I want this to look plain because it looks very runic, and I like that. For the left shoulder, though, you want the Charging Drakkar paint pattern, which you get at Reputation 26. Yeah, I know, that's high. That's high up there. Reputation 26 is a lot to ask for. There's no symbol or no embossing, but that is a high one. So if you cannot get it, don't worry, I've got a solution. If you cannot get that one, then another good option is the Trellis, which you have at level 5, not even rep 5, level 5. Or, where was it? There was another good one, hold on. Here, Celtic Square 2, which you get at Reputation 21 is also good. Or Celtic Square 1, which you get a Reputation 20. So any of those would work fine, but I think the best one... Oh, hold on, I forgot to turn it back. There we go. The best one you could get is the Charging Drakkar, okay? All right, sorry about that. For the material, you want firewood. Shocking, right? But yes, you want firewood. No, I would not recommend getting emerald. While that does fit the whole green theme, it's a little too much green, and I feel like we should have some firewood in there, add that brown coloring to contrast the green. It makes it look more forest-like, makes it look a bit more what I would think a druid would look like. So that is why I say firewood for the material. For the chest, you want Root Circle, which you get from the Tree of Life Elite outfit. So you just need an elite outfit to get that, the Root Circle. No symbol, embossing, Celtic Weave 1, which you get at Reputation 8, level 20. For the standards, you want the Celtic Square 2, which you get at Reputation 21, level 12, and you want the Weaved Cross, which you get at Reputation 17, level 4. Now, she is a druid, but she is aligning herself with the Order of the Silver Cross, which means that she is willing to work alongside those of a more holy faith. So I feel like that is her kind of showing solidarity with them, and I thought that was kind of a nice way to do that. Finally, for her colors, ready for this? Here's her color scheme. Nature and Spirit, which you get from the Druid's Hearth Elite outfit. Nature and Spirit fits best for this. So get the Druid's Hearth Elite outfit and you are good to go. All right, now for the rest of her feats. I went with Stealth, Flesh Wound, Hand Axe, and Nail Bomb. I went with Stealth because she's used to living among nature and is good at hiding in it. Flesh Wound because as a druid she would, probably know the spell Bark Skin. No, honestly, the reason I did that is because I think she's, kind of rugged. She's kind of got tougher skin than most because she's used to getting beat up and scratched and torn up in the environment. So there you go. For Hand Axe, I just think that works. A ranged attack would probably suit her very well and opens her up for a bleed. And Nail Bomb, I'm sure she knows how to set traps in the environment and set natural traps. I didn't go with Fire Flask, although you could probably go with that. I think it would still work. And you could also go with Scout. Any of the 4 feats would actually work fine for her. Scout, Fire Flask, or Nail Bomb. I just went with Nail Bomb because I think it fits this idea that she would set traps within the forest to her advantage. Now, for executions, I went with Take It on the Chin, Sylvan Metamorphosis, Incorrigible, and Alpha Blot. Okay, now let me say this about that. Let me go to unique executions. You could trade out Incorrigible with Seen and Done Roll, or there was a good one. Hold on. Here it is, with Sacrifice Throw. I overlooked it, my fault. You could trade those out for a very quick one. I went with Incorrigible. Let me go back to Ununique. I went with Incorrigible because it looked to me almost like a ritualistic kind of thing. Like she's slowly taking them apart. and leaving them for dead. So I felt like that was a little bit more ritualistic, which is why I kept it. I went with Silver Metamorphosis because, you know, the druid power. I went with Alphabot because, ironically, I see her like this. I don't see her as a hateful, evil person. I think she cares about nature and she cares about humanity, and she doesn't take pride or pleasure in killing people. So in this case, I think she's almost kind of showing her final farewell, like almost kind of like showing sort of a gentleness, like be one with nature kind of thing. I thought that would fit. And take it on the chin, just a very quick execution. So that is why I chose what I did. For emotes, I went with Trick Shot and Ground Pound. Trick Shot just looks cool, shows finesse, and Ground Pound, again, just looks nice. Plus, there aren't really a lot that I would think work well with her being a druid. Like, if you look at these, most of these don't really fit as well. So I just went with what I thought looked best. For free roam, you want Recognition, because it looks like she's planting a seed, which a druid would do. And Shaman Coin Toss, because she has no interest in money and might just try to eat it. Honestly, you could replace Shaman Coin Toss with my Furry Beastie. You could go with either one. You could go with either one for that. All right. Now for signatures, I went with Jungle Pal because she's probably got a little snake friend. You know, she's got a little snake friend. That's fine. And then finally for effects, this is interesting. For idle, I went with Fumes of Horkos because you can see these vines and branches kind of coming out of the ground around her, which I thought fit very well. Now, you could go with Fumes of Horkos for her executions as well, but since I didn't have enough steel to do that, I went with Root and Branch instead, which I already had on Shaman. And I did that for Sylvan Metamorphosis and Alphabot. I did not do it for the other two. And you could easily replace Root and Branch with Fumes of Horkos if you have it, but I went with Root and Branch because it does the same thing. For free roam, I went with Swamp Creatures, but only for Recognition, because it looks like she's planting a seed in the swamp. And then for combat, I went with Swamp Creatures, but only for Ground Pound, because it looks like she's summoning the powers of the swamp. Now, honestly, you don't need to use Swamp Creatures for that. You could go without, but that's kind of what I did there. And that is how you build Talia Oakleaf. So, what do you guys think of Talia? Do you like her story? Do you like her build? Do you think it's good? Will you be making her yourself? Let me know, all you Shaman fans out there. Would love to hear your thoughts. And that is all I have for this How to Build. I hope you enjoyed seeing these two new characters. I enjoyed making them. And as always, folks, I will see you in my next video. Take care.